Hey everybody, how are y'all doing this evening? Hope everybody's doing good. Hello, my favorite villain, Ellen Dragon. Welcome, everybody. Everybody, I'm sure will start coming in here soon. Oh, Kendall, I just started, hon. Oh, all right, everybody. As y'all come in, we'll continue to say hi. We're going to go ahead and work on getting this going. So, everybody, we've been talking about the troubled teen industry. This is our third episode. And as y'all know, we have a passion over here for this industry and the damage it has done to people and giving them a voice. And tonight we have Silas. Silas was there from 2011 to 2014, right, Silas? Do I have the years right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I was there from 2000. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're just going to let Silas tell his story, guys. Ask questions, and we will get to them as he's talking. And so, what brought you to the school?
So what brought me to this school is, basically smoking weed. When I was 12 years old, I started smoking occasionally, and then I was homeschooled for most of my life, and the summer before I went back to public school, I started smoking, and then I got in trouble in 7th grade, got caught. I got caught in 8th grade, and I got caught in 9th grade. So I didn't have a good, started off with a pretty bad school record, I guess you could say. But yeah, I guess everyone thought that I was, I don't know, my parents didn't know why I wanted to smoke weed so badly. And I didn't really know either. I just thought I really liked it. So I'm gonna keep
Were you
doing it.
dealing with anxiety and things like that?
Oh yeah. I didn't really know. I couldn't identify what was going on, but
Right.
I felt pretty miserable if I didn't have something to change the way that I felt. And so, later in life that, we'll get into that. But that's what got me sent away was in 9th grade. This was like I just got into a new high school, and I smoked before school and everyone smelt it. I had all these kids asking, what's that smell? And I was paranoid as crap. And I got pulled into the principal's office, and he ended up asking me if I wanted help, and I just said yes because I didn't want to look bad. I didn't want to be in trouble, and I thought, I was just open-minded to whatever, as long as I wasn't, in trouble or anything, and that's what got me. First, I got sent to a wilderness program, and, that was in Oregon. It was called Second Nature, um, and
So
the my
you went to a wilderness program as well.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
We'll be talking
I was
about that one because Kendall and I are going to do a thing on wilderness program.
Yeah, I heard, from your previous episode, and, yeah, so I was in wilderness for 3.5 months, and after I had first got there, because I went willingly, I didn't have any, scary transporters or anything come snatch me up in the middle of the night. I was fortunate to I went willingly and had no idea what I was getting myself into. I
So they
thought
at
that I was
least spared you from the traumatized ordeal of being snatched out and kidnapped in the middle of the night.
Yeah, they didn't do that, because I thought I was getting help. I was like, "Ooh, cool, wilderness program, that actually sounds kinda fun." And, so I went as an unaccompanied minor, and all the people, like, the staff that had to, the airport staff and everyone were so oh, wait, not the airport, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here.
That's okay.
Trying to I just remember people being shocked that I didn't need, um, people to escort me, and they're like, "Do you know, like, what you've signed up for?" And I was like, "No, you guys are gonna help me." And,
And that was for the
after I
wilderness
got to
program, or was that for the Family
yeah,
Foundation? Okay. So
that
what
was for
happened
the
with the
wilderness
Family
program.
Foundation?
So my mom took me
Oh,
to the
okay.
Family Foundation
So
school
they sold it
from
as
the
this
wilderness
really good
program.
school that was going to help you get control.
Yeah, it was gonna basically, set me up for success. Um, that was the way they sold the parents is they found they find, broken families that are, having trouble, and they say they're gonna fix all the issues and everything, and, like, they take advantage of the parents more by robbing them of all their money and then, not actually helping kids, and they just become worse. Um, so when I got to the school, I um, I was already kind of half brainwashed from the wilderness program, and I was on this spiritual kick, and you know, I was willing to go and everything, and
So how long in
when I
between
showed
the
up there, it was
wilderness and the Family Foundation? Was it immediate?
no, yeah, it was immediate.
Okay.
I was so disappointed when I found out that I was getting sent to a boarding school in the first place. Um, I first felt like I disappeared off the face of the earth, and now I'm getting sent to this other place, and for the next 2.5 years, it was hell. It was absolute hell. Um, so yeah, it was just straight from Oregon. I got on a plane with my mom uh, to the boarding school, and it took, I think I stayed in a hotel with her one night or something. But um, yeah, I don't know. Let's see. When you first get to the school, you're put on 3 months blackout where you can't talk to any other student that hasn't been there 3 months, because they would have been worried that you would conspire together and try to run away, or just spread bad rumors about the place. And
Hmm.
let's see, you walk up the steps. They took me into the bathroom. You get strip searched. You have to squat and cough, and I don't think that's legal to do to children in the first place.
No,
Um,
and not unless you're going into jail.
yeah, so they were doing that to every single student that came in. Um, And it wasn't just when you first got there. It was after every single visit off campus,
Oh, wow.
basically. Yeah.
How invasive.
Very, very, very uncomfortable. Um, yeah, so I had a buddy. His name was Tarek, and actually he passed away a few years ago. I think it was a drug overdose. May he rest in peace. But he was my buddy when I first got to the school. Um, and I remember him telling, I remember I had like a more positive view and open mind of like, oh, this is all going to be okay. Like, I'm going to get the help I need. This is great. And I just remember seeing like how many kids were kind of unhappy and seemed just like, it seemed like the total morale was very low. And yeah, I was in for a very rude awakening, I guess you could say. Um, the my least favorite part was the forced religion. I really hated that. You'd have to walk every morning. We'd have to get up at I think 6, and before breakfast we'd have to walk all the way up this huge hill to go to chapel every single day, and it was always a different. It was always a different religion. It would be like today's Christianity, today's Judaism. They do Orthodox. I just remember feeling like it wasn't right to, I don't know, force religion on people.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least they were being all inclusive.
Oh, yeah, they
I
didn't leave
guess we
anyone
could
out.
say.
Yeah, I guess,
I'm trying to find the positives in this place. They're hard to find. They're hard to find.
oh, oh yeah, no. I mean, if they helped me with anything, they really helped me learn how to get away with stuff because, if you didn't want to get in trouble, you really had to get good at, lying and just manipulation in a whole nother level, I guess. It's like to play the system, you had to, I mean, they, like, if you wanted to, so the big fear for me was that if I did something wrong, I'd have to stay an extra 6 months. And, when I was 15, I thought I could only be here like a year maybe, and I'd be able to come home. The only reason I left when I did was because I was about to turn 18 and I was just gonna leave and walk. So my parents were like, "Ah, we'll come get you." Um, but yeah, sorry, I've kind of gone completely off track or off course. I'm just rambling. What comes to mind? Let's see.
Your favorite villain says, "That's why I didn't even try. I was
Mostly,
defiant."
yeah, yeah. No, I went the other route. I tried to kind of like be a part of the system. I hated uh the whole like kids telling on other kids part, so I tried to just like not see anyone do anything wrong because I didn't want to like, you know I didn't want to have to bring anyone up. Let's see, table topics. All right, so I didn't think I really had anything wrong with me and was like, why the fuck am I here? Really don't need to be here. So how am I supposed to graduate and get better if there's nothing wrong with me in the first place? And I mean, yes, I did have some issues, but like the treatment that they tried to provide, which is complete, abuse, that's not what I needed, obviously.
Right.
Uh, so the whole time, I think a lot of other students just felt like this is so wrong, but they break you, they make you like, so they use sleep deprivation, growth hormones. I remember every kid that would show up would gain 40 pounds within like the first month of being there.
Wow.
And like the staff would say, oh, like it's stress or it's this, but then come to find out they actually were putting growth hormones in the food. And the
Wow.
food was horrible too. I had a friend who asked me to share about this. His name's Steven, and he, um, was eating the food that they serve us, and he one day was refusing to get out of bed because his stomach hurt so bad, and he needed medical help. And they were, you know, they he had to crawl all the way down to the nurse's office to beg them to call the hospital, which it took them, I think it was like hours to actually finally. I forget if they even brought him to the hospital or not, but his appendix almost burst, and
Wow.
it was. I think they brought him to the hospital and they like got to him just in time. But yeah,
That's
they he
scary.
could have died, and that's just it's horrible.
The food was crazy.
Oh yeah, and also in every bot like so in the kitchen they'd have like students work and stuff, and I remember going into the freezers, and on the boxes, all the boxes, they'd say grade D but edible, and everything was for institutional use only. So we got like, you know,
Worse than prison food.
it was almost as okay as prison food. I don't know.
More than
But
likely, when my husband was in the military, they have MREs in the military, and they went to the prison systems and they're like, hey, this would be a good idea. It's a cheaper way to feed, inmates, and gave it, we're trying
mhm,
to convince the prison systems to take over using MREs in the prisons instead of whatever they were cooking, slop or whatever they're feeding. And they told them no, that it was not compatible with their guidelines for how they feed prisoners. That it sounded like it was saying that it wasn't good enough, but what it was because it was higher in protein and things that soldiers need to be active. And prisoners being not active,
mm,
they would just gain way too much weight, and it was higher quality food than what they were feeding basically in the prisons.
wow, yeah, I don't know. I just remember all the food was so bad, and but so parents would come and they do this thing called seminar for the parents who are thinking about sending their children to the school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would feed all those parents a really good meal. And I know this because I was on seminar crew. And we would dress up and we would set up this nice room for the parents. And we would basically counsel the parents and like help persuade them to send their child to the school. And we would do that with, a nice steak dinner with, asparagus and potatoes and, melted butter on the bun and, delicious meal. Um, and that would get the parents thinking like, oh, this is the type of food that they serve the kids here, like this is the type of food they get. And it, it's just like looking at that should tell you how much of a lie it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I'm understanding on others, they've said that they would sell the school even though they hated it because they
Hmm.
knew that if they didn't say how awesome it was, then it would just be worse when the parents were gone.
I was one of those students. I was, like I said, I was on seminar crew, and I remember talking to parents about how, I used to, I'm a drug addict, and, this place has really helped me develop a spiritual life, and, this, that, and the third. I don't really remember, you know, to the extent of how brainwashed I really was because um, I'll be honest, I've done a lot of hallucinogens since then, and I've tried to forget everything that I've known about, that place and the mindset I had when I left to try to develop healthier thinking patterns. Um, but yeah, I remember thinking like my thinking was so black and white when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if and they would tell us like, oh, if you do this, like you're gonna relapse and die basically. That was what they would tell all of us. Like if we did something wrong, that's like, you know, us being unspiritual or something. And I remember so I don't know if you know about table topics or not, but
We
that's
talked
when
some. So if you're
during
new here, table
lunchtime.
topics are at their dinner times, and people could stand up at the dinner table basically and call anybody out that they wanted to,
Mhm,
and pretty much
yeah.
all the horrible
Mhm.
things they want to say come out at table topics.
So when I was there, they kind of changed the systems around, like, from what it started as
Mm-hmm.
and to what it turned into. Like, so when I was there, table topics, the people who had the table topics were people who had previously gotten in trouble and that were in the corner. If you're in the corner, that's when you need to be disciplined. You've been in trouble, you've done something wrong. So you're in the corner for 24 hours, meaning you have to sit in the corner, eat all your meals in the corner. You can't participate in anything, that's remotely uh, distracting. You just have to, sit there and kind of. I think you're allowed to do your homework, study,
Oh, wow.
but that's about it.
My co-host
Um,
Kendall's finally here. She's gonna come up.
and so to get out of the corner, cool.
Hey.
So, do we have another person?
Yeah, Kendall's coming up to join us. She's my co-host.
Cool.
I'm
And
also
so-
Dylan's
Awesome.
best friend in real life.
Yeah,
I'm sure
she's
you know
Dylan's
Dylan.
best friend, Margaret. That's her best friend in real life too. So she's the one that got me started in this whole subject
Okay.
of the troubled teen industry.
It's nice
And
to
so-
have you with us and talking.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm really glad to be here, and thank you guys for doing this. This is wonderful to be able to shed light on this place.
I have a question. There's a lot of people that watch this back on replay.
Yes, please.
Like the next day. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Is my mic good, Brandy?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a lot of people that will come in and watch it, in the next week or so on replay. And we get a lot of new people sometimes that don't understand just how bad the school was. Can you take us through like your first day there, like step by step of what your first day was like? Once like you're at the school, the steps of what you went through just your first day.
Yeah. Okay. So I will do my best because I was there for so long. It's all like bits and pieces, but I will do my best.
Okay.
So I arrived at the school, the big red building, and I think 2 or 3 staff members came to basically greet you right at the car, grab your stuff, your belongings. You go upstairs to do intake where they basically check all of your stuff. Everything you have must be initialed to. Like I said, they take you into the bathroom. You have to get naked. I think that's like one of the first things you have to do is get naked.
So you're
and
shocked
squat
immediately.
and cough, and they go through all of your stuff. Oh yeah, these are complete strangers too. You've never seen these guys in your life, and they make, like I said, they make you get naked and squat and cough. You also have to shave. I had a little bit of a beard going. You have to shave all your facial hair off. You get like a laundry bag with your clothes, and they take you to the dormitory so you can like show your spot. Oh yeah, the closet spaces were shared between like 4 or 5 students, and it really wasn't like that much space, so it was all jammed too. And yeah, there were like 18 to 20 kids in a dormitory, I think, and we had like 2 showers and 2 sinks and 2 toilets per dormitory. And I think, yeah, it was all bunk beds, and I think there was like 20 kids to a dorm.
Children. Yeah.
I remember the staff members there were. I remember not liking the staff members that made me, get naked. And I think it was Tommy Cummings was the staff member that did my intake. I'm pretty sure.
Haven't we heard that name before, Kendall?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
The name sounds very
And,
familiar.
he was, he was just kind of like I don't know, sporty, loves sports, kind of like sarcastic, very belittling, condescending type of guy. Like, oh, like,
I think what I've heard so far from you is a little bit different attitude, I would think, Brandy, than I've heard from some of the other students. The other students that we've had, and of course Margaret herself, kind of had this "you're not going to break me" attitude. But you seem to have went out in and been like, I'm going to do the best I can. What's wrong with me? They're going to fix me. Did you act like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So did the teachers treat you? Because I can imagine if I'm going in there with the attitude that this place is going to help me, and I'm not going to try to rebel against the government, kind of, did the teachers?
Yeah.
Did you see a difference in the way they treated someone that tried to obey the rules compared to the way they treated the students that were like, "You're not going to break me"? Do you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly why I obeyed the rules. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and they treated all the people that were like, oh yeah, if you were rebellious, you'd be treated like shit by every single staff member pretty much. You'd have certain staff members that would like try to take you one-on-one and take you under your wing and like fix you or like help you. But it really, the only reason that like I tried to follow the program was because I was just trying not to be treated like shit.
How long were you there
And
before it kicked in that this place is bad? I mean, obviously the first day when they're stripping you down, but when, with your behavior of I'm going to try to work the program, when did you realize? How long do you think you were there before you're like, this place is bad?
Once it was this event happened at the school, and one of the staff got caught for rape, basically, and that's when I was like, this place is a evil piece of like,
Right.
forced religion, like, it was like all this stuff. It made me very, but at that time I was also like thinking that I had this deep spiritual life and I was curious about Christianity and stuff, and I was being very open-minded about the 12 steps because I was like, maybe I do have a addiction problem. I was addicted to weed or whatever, and maybe I do need all this help. But once that happened, I was kind of like in my head, like, is this right? Like, I don't know. I would say that like until a few years ago, I kind of like um like I faked it so hard that I thought that I was helped, but like I said, I left that place with such black and white thinking, and I was very closed-minded. And it took me years to realize how traumatized that I was, but I had so many triggers. If someone like, you know, all these just all these feelings that I didn't know what to do with. I didn't know where they were coming from, and
Right.
I don't know.
That's your years of learning how to socialize. A normal teenager in a normal setting, that's when you learn how to socialize with the opposite sex and friends and arguments with friends, and you miss that. You
Mhm.
didn't get to do that when you were
Oh, yeah.
supposed to.
That's one of like, not being able to like, I always say I always never got to go to prom or, like, anything like that. You weren't allowed to have relationships with women or really even be close friends with them, they didn't give you any opportunities to build a relationship with the opposite sex, really. It was, and if you got caught trying to trying to build a relationship um with the girl there, then you would be, like I said, like a lot of kids would get caught hooking up and they'd have to stay at the place an extra 6 months. So it was
Just
like,
from looking, just for a look.
if it, if they want to take it that far, then yeah, just for looking. They could have done whatever they wanted. If like they had my parents convinced that I needed to stay for another 6 months. They did that to everyone. They were low in enrollment, so any excuse they could to make a kid stay longer, that gave them more money. That's what they wanted to do.
Yeah, you were just money.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
What,
And then
how do you perceive the education that you got there? Like Margaret will tell you that, she ended up having to get a GED, and her mother paid for her stay there to get her through school, because they promise a high percentage of college, kids that go to college, and she ended up having to get a GED. How do you perceive your education that you got there? Because you're completely different than anybody else that we've had. So I'm really curious.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. Right.
Yeah, and I was also homeschooled like my entire life too. So my education there, it really sucked. I mean, all the teachers were so unenthusiastic. I never passed Algebra 1, not even once. And I'm a high school dropout now.
Well, the teachers there were not educated.
Right, they weren't licensed teachers.
Yeah, most of them weren't even licensed.
Yeah.
As we have now found out, most of them were just recovering addicts themselves.
Yes, one of them, Peter Jakes. He would like take us to meetings certain nights, and he was in the program, and I think he was a felon. I don't know about all that, but I do know that he was trying to teach math and he sucked at it. He couldn't get any of us to pay attention or to want to pay attention, or I don't know. I just remember being so bored in school, and also we had to. They were doing sleep deprivation on us, so like we were all so tired the entire day. I was like sleeping through a lot of the periods during the day. A lot of the first ones, I was sleeping and being yelled at a lot.
If you don't want to talk about this is fine. How did you have a chance to talk to your parents about it after you were gone? And how did they react? I mean, if you don't want to talk about it, because I get that's touchy.
Oh no, it's completely fine. At first, my parents were kind of like, well, we did it to save your life, so no regrets there. But then after all the light that's been shed on that school has been shed, now my mother is apologizing up and down and feels really horrible about it.
Ian will say that.
Have you been able to repair? Or do you have a good relationship with your family now, though?
We do now, yes.
Good.
For the longest time, I couldn't get along with my parents for the longest time afterwards. And it's only like, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago that my mother and I have started repairing our relationship. We've done it through playing card games together, and that helps us to ease into, deep, difficult.
Do they understand how deep your wounds go? That, I mean, they obviously, and most parents, I'm sure, really do believe that they're trying to save their child. Do they understand the damage that was done to you there, that you still have to deal with?
I think they don't fully understand, but I think I know that my mom and dad, they're trying to. Like
they're open to learning. Right?
I would think as a parent, we want the best for our children. And when we
Right.
think we're doing the
Yeah.
best for our children, and then it turns out to be a disaster, that's like parents that send their kids to camp and then the kid is molested at camp. You think you're doing the best by letting
Yeah.
them go to this camp, and you think you
Mhm.
expect the people to be doing what they said. They vetted the people, they've proper education, proper this, proper that, and then they haven't, and a child's hurt. All
Yeah.
that guilt falls on the parent. So I can imagine
Yeah.
that is so hard as a parent to wrap your mind around something you did trying to save your child, and
Right.
it bites everybody in the ass.
And I also, after the boarding school, I got out and instantly started doing hard drugs.
Most did.
I didn't,
They do.
I thought I was just curious and like I missed out on all this fun stuff. I got to catch up, to where my, all my other friends have been. I got to catch up to this, and it was crazy.
When you
It
were
was like as
actually
soon as
probably when you were actually probably just numbing your pain, self-medicating.
Yeah, I didn't know what I had gone through. I had no idea that, like, I knew it wasn't normal, but I had no idea what type of, like, how broken I was. I didn't know that. I thought that, like, this is like, and I just remember being so miserable from, the entire time I was there. And even past, like, after I had left that place, like I said, my way of thinking was so fucked up that, excuse my
Right.
language, it's so messed up.
Remember, I said we dropped the F-bomb over here. It's all good.
You said you went to Wilderness too. If you had to compare the two, if you can compare the two, I'm sure both places have nightmares, but which one do you believe did the most damage to you personally?
Boarding school, absolutely, hands down. I mean, I know that a lot of other people have horror stories about wilderness programs, and I definitely do too. I was on Sharp's watch when I first got there because I had told somebody I want to throw a log up high and let it land on my head so I can go to the hospital and not have to be here.
Right. That's creative.
But the boarding school was-
I had a girl tell me that
boarding
she
school is
tried
way
to find
worse.
a snake to bite her so she could leave.
No, the things that they do. So
Yeah,
let's
and
go
I
back
also
to
ate
the
mushrooms.
table topics. Let's go to table topics and discuss
Table
some of those.
Okay. So I remember my first table topic was because, like I was saying before, on how, I didn't think anything was really wrong with me. So I was like, do I have to make shit up about myself that's like wrong with me so I can just start like getting, get through this program or whatever. So I like drank coffee and I wasn't supposed to because I wasn't a senior member. And I told on myself. It's like, yeah, I know I was wrong and I should have done it. I kind of just got like a slap on the wrist for it. But I had a really serious table topic one time, and my parents were there. I was about to go on my first home visit, and
Whoa!
I had been at the school.
Wait! Your parents was at a table topic?
Yes, because I had gotten in trouble in the dormitory the night before, and they were at the school to pick me up to take me home for my home visit. Because it was like Thanksgiving and I had been at the school 9 months and I'd really been pushing for it. And that's why I behaved, is because I just wanted to go on home visits. I wanted to get out of that place. And I felt like if I rebelled, I would just land then it would be even more intolerable. So I need to go along with this for my own survival is kind of how I thought about it.
Right. So how do table topics go with your parents there? Set that up for us, because I've not ever heard that
I'm
either.
still trying to wrap my mind around parents at a table topic.
Right. I mean, you're a blessing to us because you are completely different than we've ever had on this channel.
He's so laid back.
No, I'm saying his story's completely different. It's the same nightmares, but it's just so different because your view of how you acted at this school is different than anybody that we've talked to so far. I'm sure there's more that try to go along with the program, but we've always
Yeah.
had the, you know, the ones that's with their, I'm going to break the system. They're not going to break
We've
me.
had the rebellious ones on so far.
Yeah. So I'm just infatuated with the way that you went into the school and how you acted. So can you describe the parents at the table topics? How did that go about?
So basically, yeah, so the table topic first was about me iceberging some kid in the shower, which was something that we were all doing. All the kids were doing it to each other for fun. It was like a fun prank where you pour cold water on somebody while they're showering. And it's harmless. And I had
Kids
done it
being
to somebody,
Kids being kids. Yeah.
kids being kids. I had done it to my friend, and I got basically the dorm leader, because every dorm had a leader, and like they had to, if a kid does something wrong, they get a 0. So I got a 0 for doing that, because I was the kid that got caught for it, basically. And so that means I was in the corner. If you get a 0, you're in the corner. So my parents are here to take me on my home visit. They're here for lunch, and all the table topics happen during lunch. And so I can't even sit with my parents at the table. I have to sit in the corner. That was very embarrassing. And I get up, and my family, and they're so the tables are shaped in like a big U, and you have to stand at the at the end, kind of at the end of the horseshoe, I guess you could say, right in the middle of the horseshoe. And I got ripped away by Roxanne, my family leader. And I remember her telling me that I was like a bully, and that I was bullying new kids, and that it was like I'm seeking attention, or like I just remember her yelling and saying, if that's how you're gonna behave, you can kiss your home visits goodbye, or something.
And
And
your
I think my
parents were
mom
there
tried.
to witness this?
Yes. And my mom tried to be like, hey, like, you don't have to yell at him. And she was like, yes, I do. Like, he needs to hear this, or something. And, my parents are very passive. They, two of the most passive people I've ever met. And so they're kind of just like, if, if that's what you say, you guys are the experts. So.
Wow.
So we have a question for you real quick. Child of God says to ask you what you feel would make a successful program that would truly be a help to struggling teens.
Let's see. What would be a
program without abuse?
Yeah.
A program without abuse. A program where the staff members like care, actually care, and are,
Licensed?
I guess, a little more licensed. Where they, I don't know, cool act. Like, I imagine if I was ever a staff at one of these programs, I would try to take the kids on field trips all the time, like disc golf or water park.
A little more regulation to kind of have
like,
an
they need to
actual
have fun.
program.
Yeah. I think that if a kid's having enough fun, then they stay focused and get good grades. I don't know.
I would think without the abuse, not just licensed teachers, but teachers that are trained to deal with troubled teens.
Right.
Because some of the teens that went there weren't just smoking weed. I mean, there was some, troubled teens. So I would think not just licensed, but trained in dealing with them. But
so sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm still in shock that parents were allowed to be there. Never heard that one before.
Oh yeah. So like I said, it was really only because they were there for lunch to take me on my home visit. And sometimes the parents would be at the table topics if that was the case, because now the table topics happen during lunch.
Did you at least get to go home?
Yeah, I still got to go home.
Okay,
That
good.
was a close call.
Was the food they fed you when the parents were there? Were the parents eating the same food you guys were eating?
So that particular time, yes, but this is because I was already a student at the school. They weren't making the decision to send me there or not. So it's like, I don't know. They've already kind of got away with the con.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
and I also wanted to say, do you guys know how the school was started?
Yeah.
What
Yes.
it used
Yeah.
to be?
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah,
The
so
Synanon and the other cults. We were going to do a
mhm.
deep dive on the founding of Synanon, and
Yeah, we got that on the table too soon. When
So
Brandy quits being so busy.
I have to quit being so busy. I have.
Yeah,
She has a lot of
Any-
pokers in the fire, and she keeps giving me
sorry.
pokers to put in the fire.
Yes.
Well, you
Sorry.
are a breath of fresh air when it comes to this, and even your story is still heartbreaking.
Ellen Dragon says, I don't understand how this school believed that any of this was getting to the source of the trauma causing the behaviors. That is
I don't think they
100.
did. I think it's all about money.
They didn't care if it got to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Drawing
Um,
paychecks.
Did you know that students
They-
were being tied up in tarps and kind of hogtied? And I mean, like Em told us how she had to eat tuna fish for months. Another student
So
has told us how they toted rocks for months. Did you know that was going on?
okay,
Or that was just the bad kids? Or do you
so
feel
none
like it
of
was the
that
bad kids?
happened. None of that happened while I was at the school.
Mhm.
Those were like when I got there and I heard like, oh, this like they used to do this, and there was this guy. We called him Bob, and he was like this old blind dude. And I remember hearing people say, oh, Bob would have whirled you up in a rug and made you stay there for 6 hours or something like that. And he used to be a staff member there.
What years were you there?
I was there from
2011 to 2014.
Gotcha. I missed that at the
2004.
beginning.
So
So you were at
while
the
I was
end of it.
yeah, they were transitioning and they were trying to lighten up on everything because they knew like they had so many kids, so many previous students that had left and been like, oh my God, like I was abused at this place,
Mhm.
So they had too many people on their asses about it. So they had to try and lighten up, change the program a bunch and they even changed their name to Allenwood Academy in the
Mhm.
last, um, and yes.
So, what was the worst treatment or punishment you ever had at the school?
Or that you knew of.
Yeah.
What was the worst during your time that you know of?
I think a couple kids while I was there got put in the silent room or like the quiet room for. I think they. Did somebody get put in the quiet room? Work sanctions. I mean, people would get put on work sanctions. People would get put on exile. I would say that like the worst punishment is when you would, if a staff would take you alone somewhere, because you really don't know what they're going to do with you.
Right.
Like, it's just,
Those stories are horrible.
yeah, I can't imagine. So I was the performing arts intern during my last 6 months there with, and I dealt with Paul Gear a lot. He was recently arrested, thankfully.
Right.
And he was such a creep. I remember, being in a choir lesson and just the way he would like correct you. He'd like embarrass the hell out of you, and it seemed like he'd make him happy. And then he'd like, this is how you're supposed to do it. And then he would like, and he so went to Hershey Park for this competition because he would take us all to Hershey Park every single year for this choir competition. And I remember the rooms, I was in a room with 2 other boys, and then the girls were all in a room together, and then he was in a room with 3 other boys. Like,
That's just creepy.
instead of the other staff. And I think the 2 other staff, then they would share a room. But Paul would be in a room with like 3 other boys. And that's why I was there. So,
Do you have any friends that you still talk to that you made
yeah.
there?
Yeah. I brought up my friend Steven, who had that,
Tell us
you
about
know, his
Steven.
appendix. He was a really good dude. He's a really, really good friend of mine. And I don't know, he was into the whole, we all got like I think, sorry, I just had a brain fart.
You're
You're
fine.
fine. This is stressful. We understand.
It is. It's hard to try and think and like remember.
And the trauma it can cause
You to black out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
A lot of the friends that I had while I was at that school, I mean, so already there's been 150 deaths of kids that students that have went to that place, and
You do.
there's a lot. I know a lot of I knew a lot of them personally. I think, but yeah. I'm trying to think of what I can still say about that place.
You still have your notes. You wrote notes earlier so you could remember things. I am going to Kendall, can you handle this? I'll be right back. I have something in my contacts and it's about to make my eye want to be ripped out of my head. So I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so I wanted to kind of talk about the daily life there. We'd had to wake up at 6 a.m, go to chapel for 45 minutes. Then we had breakfast for 20 minutes to a half hour. The school day was from 8 in the morning or 8:30 in the morning until around 6 at night.
Wow.
And then, so I recently saw like a receipt or something, or like I guess that school, they charged by the hour too for like the school day. And so
that's interesting.
Yeah, so it sucked for the kids to have to go to school for that long, and then they also charge the parents more because of it.
We also was told that the parents had to sign a contract that it would cost them $150. I think it was, I could be wrong about the numbers, but I think it was $150 if a student had to be kind of manhandled, or I forget the word they use, but
restrained.
Restrained, yeah, that's what they said. But and they would charge that, or they had the parents sign a contract to understand they would be charged for that. So not only are they restraining these babies, but they're charging their parents for abusing their children.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I remember. I also I think I started like cutting while I was at the school.
Oh goodness! And that was new for you? That was something you had never done?
Yeah, that was completely new. I didn't know really where that came from.
Just to get rid of the pain. Yeah.
There were other kids cutting. I would hyperventilate in the shower to try to get lightheaded. On pretty much all of my home passes, I would do something to get high, whether it was drink alcohol or,
right.
And so part of them like switching when it was Allenwood Academy. At that point, I had been there longer than any other student, and they came with this whole new system where like when you first get there, you're in this thing called vault, and if you're defiant or you're rebellious, you basically just stay in vault. And that's when you have, you know, the most restrictions. And then I was like in this thing called achievement, and so was my friend Steven and Vomsy and uh, just naming off some of my friends that were there that were in the same family as me. It was like this family of kids or students that have completed the program and are just finishing school, basically.
Mhm.
So we had all these privileges, and we're basically like junior staff members, pretty much. And I was in the commuter program where I was dual enrolled in community college. But like I said, as soon as I got home, I dropped out because I started, you know, numbing myself way too much, and I couldn't focus or anything like that. So
How were the conversations between you and your parents when you would go home for a home visit? Did you try to tell them what they did, or did they have you so groomed that you
yeah,
didn't realize what they were doing to you? I know you said you didn't
well,
realize it until years later, but
well, I was scared to. I mean, I remember trying to say like, "Hey, did you guys know that one of these staff members was raping somebody and they're a pedophile? Like, what? You know, why am I still here?" Kind of. I was hinting towards that stuff without saying it directly, because I was worried that if they were to tell the family counselor, then they, you know, that would make me look bad. That would make me have
it
to
would make it
stay
harder
long.
on you.
I'd be
Yeah.
in trouble. You know, that was the big fear, and that's why, you know, if I went on a home pat, I would always beg them to just take me out of the school, but like, uh, you know, it never worked. I gave up
How old
after.
were you when you went? You might have said this, I just might have missed it in the beginning. I was a little late getting here. How old were you
I
when
was
you
15. I was a
15?
freshman in high school. Yeah.
Just a baby. Goodness gracious.
Oh man, it was. And then coming home and trying to fit in or like anything, it was just so difficult, you know, because like just I would hold everyone to such a high standard because I, you know, I was so brainwashed that I was, you know, like
Right.
it's like I was brainwashed, but like I was also like in my own way, like I thought, okay, now I'm getting high, so like I'm kind of rebelling, I guess. You know,
Mhm.
I was being the person they told me I was going to be, basically.
So when you were there, who would you label as the worst teacher or staff member?
Okay, so when I was there, I had a, I didn't, let's see, I'm trying to think because my least favorite staff member,
Or maybe who did you fear in the staff?
I mean, Paul
Would that
Gear
be
was,
easier
I
to
think
answer?
everyone was afraid of Paul Gear. I really didn't like America. That was her name. She was always just really grouchy and um, I don't know. She seemed very spiteful towards me. It just seemed like she kind of hated me for no reason. And like I said, I really tried not to get on any of the staff's bad sides. You know, I'll say it. I was a kiss ass, and
And
really
so
just
you weren't in a lot of trouble. Why did they make you stay so long?
to get
Money?
money from my parents.
They just kept making up reasons why you weren't ready to go home.
Well, so my like I think I can't. I told on myself for getting high on my first home visit, so I had to stay for that reason. I guess because I apparently had like attention-seeking issues. I mean, I did swallow a full tube of toothpaste, but it wasn't for attention. It was because I wanted to get a ride to a hospital. Just I didn't want to be at the school, you know. it's like I would
Trying to
have done
come up with any way to just get out.
any way to get out, basically. And I was too scared to run away. I didn't know where to go. So it's just like,
We've
just
heard
trying to fake
stories
it.
stories how students did try to run away, and the local police would just bring them back.
That's exactly
Students
what would
that
happen.
tried to call 911, and
Yeah.
they were just brought back.
Yeah, and then you wouldn't get shoes, and you'd have to wear sandals for the next 2 weeks,
Hmm.
And those sandals suck. They'd always give you, like, your foot would blister from them. They're horrible.
I was watching a student over on The Hammer. I'm sure you've heard of that podcast.
Mm,
He does a lot of interviews with the Family Foundation students. And there was a student there that she said that for 6 months straight, she toted rocks from one place up a hill to another. And once they got them all up to the top of the hill, they'd bring them back. And that she got no days in school in that
oh,
6 months of toting rocks.
oh, man. That's horrible. I feel so bad for all the students that were there in the early 2000s and, um, late 90s.
Did you want to share the story of your friend that was sexually assaulted?
No, not
Okay.
tonight.
Yeah. He does have a story there, Kendall. I'll share that with you later.
Okay. I respect that.
Yeah, they're not wanting to come forward just yet. And it did.
Yeah, I just haven't heard from them, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But let's see.
And it wasn't by Greer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the place was just so corrupt. I mean, and the whole forced religion, like, they would shove religion down our throats, and they would say religion is for those, or no, they would say religion is for people who are scared of going to hell, and spirituality is for people who have already been there. And like, that school was absolute hell the whole time we were there. And I don't know, especially like Paul Gear used to say that. Now he's in jail, and now he's gonna have to find a spiritual life. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had some very colorful things to say about him.
Yeah, we both did.
Yeah. So, did you have a favorite staff member or teacher that might have been just a really good person that was trying to just do the best they could?
So-
at least?
So we know that teachers had favorites that would mistreat one student, but would be very good to other students.
Yes.
Do you think that happened to you?
I think a lot of the staff treated me a lot better than they treated most of the students. So it's really hard for me to say,
Like, you weren't one that was just deliberately trying to get in trouble. You were just
So I never experienced that from most of the staff, because I was I did what they told me to do, and if they asked me to jump, I said how high.
That's called surviving.
Yeah, and it was just horrible.
See, I feel like I would have been that student. That would have been. I know my personality. I'd have been that student. Just
looking back on it, because all right, when I was there, I really didn't know how fucked up it was. Looking back on it, if I had known how messed up they were, I would have rebelled probably. I wouldn't have went about it the same way, because like like I said, it was the brainwashing, the fake it till you make it, and I took that and I ran with it. And
grooming is a terrible thing. It's just a terrible thing. It affects every aspect of your life for the rest of your life.
It really does. When I left the school, I was just so manipulative towards people, and I didn't even realize that was wrong.
Like, are you in any kind of counseling now?
No, no, I'm not. I probably
A
should
lot
be.
of the
I'd
students,
like
a
to go
lot of
there.
the students,
Yeah, a lot of not.
yeah, a lot didn't. And I know Margaret herself has been through years of trauma therapy. She's
Yeah.
talked to me several times about, just overall. I don't know what happened during her sessions or how long she went to one doctor or anything. I just know that she's done a lot of trauma therapy, a lot of reading just
Hmm.
to heal to the point that she is. And I've known her for years, and I've heard her cry 2 times. And one time was when Paul Gear was sitting in the courtroom, and so many people, were there on the phone to listen and in the courtroom. And
I was listening to that too. Yeah.
yeah, that's the second time ever that I've ever heard her voice quiver. So that no matter how much therapy, though, the pain is still there.
Hmm. Yeah, I just remember the whole like the feeling of needing to get out, and um like I was starting to believe in the whole Christianity thing, and I was ready to sell my soul to the devil as long as he would let me get out of that school. I
Right.
started meditating to this this pentagram, like every single night, just like praying to Satan that he would like get me out of that place. And I didn't realize that, I should have been praying to God, but I thought God was the one that they, wanted me to
Yeah.
be at this school.
They use religion as a weapon.
Yeah,
Me and
they
Brandy
told me.
know all about that too.
Yes. Well, it seems like they confused the religion because of they were being all inclusive, and I can respect that. But you can't
Mhm.
bring in and have every student do every religion every different time because that's confusing. And it
Right.
causes a whole other trauma of psychological problems when you confuse a child because y'all were kids, you're babies. Those
Hmm.
frontal lobes aren't connected yet. So
Yeah.
it's just too much, and that was a bad idea on their part. And I'm
And
Oh,
sure
and
it sows confusion for a purpose.
most
they also
likely,
told us. Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
I remember they told us that another reason I was scared to rebel is because uh, it, they said like if you get kicked out of this place, then you have to go to this work ranch in Utah until you're 25, until your frontal lobe's fully developed.
They threatened a lot of them with Jamaica. I think it was Jamaica, and the
Well, and
students would think
the
if
last episode we did, what I did with Alex. Alex told me that he had run away once, and while he was broke into homes to try to get camping gear so he could survive,
Mhm.
and when he somehow or other come back, I don't remember how he come back. I know he said, but it's not
I can't
registering.
remember either.
And he said that they said, look, you just have to be honest. You have to take your inventory, that little phrase they use, and tell us what happened, what you did, and you're not going to be in any kind of trouble. You're going to be fine. So he tells them everything, and then they report him to the cops. So then he's arrested for theft,
With a
and
felony.
now he has a felony. They turned around and said, oh, since you did this, now you are mandated to be at the school by a court of law.
So he couldn't leave at 18.
So he couldn't even leave at 18. And then they were charging his parents every month, plus what you get from the state, because once it's state mandated, you have state funds that come in.
Double dipping.
Oh man, it's crazy.
Do
Yeah.
you know
Wow.
how much your parents paid?
Oh man, I do not, but I know it's definitely over 50 grand. That's for sure. It's probably a couple 100,000, something like
Wow.
that. And they didn't even have that type of money. I think they had to get like a scholarship or something like that. I don't know.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So can you think of anything else you wanted to share about the school that was important to make sure you got out?
Let me see. Well, I mean, a lot of us that have gone to that school, we all left with really, you know, addiction problems, and it's been crazy trying to get our lives back together. That's all I can say.
Well, most likely what happened, you went in at 15. Your brain wasn't being nourished. You wasn't being able to grow and mature like you're supposed to. So you're coming out with most likely that same 15-year-old brain.
Well, they come out with a very fucked up view of everything.
I had to keep getting institutionalized until I was like 21 years old, going in and out of halfway houses after that, and, you know, going to rehabs, and like, yeah, it's just, you know, I wish that the program that I went to was actually helpful and really did, you know, set me up for success like they claimed they were going to do.
Right.
You know, it just led to more programs, more institutions, and, you know, trying to numb myself from that program, you know, is it's really difficult, you know.
The years
But
of work it takes to
Undo.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think you ever get over it. It's like, I guess some people maybe can eventually make peace with it, when not peace with the school itself, but make peace within themselves, that they're trying to heal and look at me now, you didn't destroy my life kind of thing. But I think it has to take so much work and
yeah.
self-awareness of what happened. And you're saying that, you know, it took you years to even realize what they did to you.
Yeah, you know, it took so long. It really, what happened when it clicked to me is when I went to one of my friend's funerals, and you know, he had also gone to the school, and I saw a bunch of other students that I was there with, and we were all, you know, kind of like, it made me realize, because I looked at all of us and we were all, you know, kind of, it seemed like we were all like messed up in the same way, and then that made me kind of question things, like,
Yeah,
wow,
you're all
you know.
broken in the same way. Yeah.
And then I started looking back on my past, and, you know, how, like, I was like, wow, you know, I really haven't been happy the past, like, since I've been to that, you know, I didn't leave happy. And yeah, you know, just like, what could I say? It's just, but once I
Well,
did,
hopefully, y'all watching Paul get his justice, y'all's justice for him. Hopefully that helps some of y'all mentally kind of recoup some of what you've lost. It's a small thing, and it's definitely not going to be, you know, not everybody's going to get their justice on him, but at least something's happening and somebody's being held accountable. So hopefully what we can hope for is from here on out, more people are going to be held accountable for different things, and the system itself gets looked at a little closer.
yeah,
Whether any of the other teachers ever step foot in a courtroom or not, trust me, there's people out here that are going to hold them accountable, because there's still some of those teachers with degrees and counselors still working today around children, and accountability is coming.
Jeff Brain, I think is his name, was like one of the, like, he counsels the parents basically and is like a student representative or something. And he was like, he would counsel the parents kind of into sending their kids there, and would help get enrollment at the school. And now he works for another school, another troubled teen school in Canada.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, they're still
Well,
trying
when
to
you
get.
start going into other countries, you even have less regulations than what we have,
Yeah.
which is nothing. So I don't know how it could be less, but it is.
Canada's scary though. I was in a live the other night, and we were talking about a situation that was a child being bullied, and they were in Canada, and the laws in Canada, by what she was telling me, it's like the kid's got no rights. The parents trying to, like the kid was being bullied at school, and they tried to go to the school. The school did nothing. It ended up being an assault at the school, and the cops did nothing. And they wouldn't tell me at first what country it was. Then when they did, I was like, really? Canada shocked me, because I always thought they were a lot stricter with everything than America was. But obviously, kids over there are not considered to have any rights until they come of age. So that's even scarier, that one of these staff members, teachers, whatever they are, is in Canada doing this.
Right.
Wow. I also, I remember 2 days while I was at that school where I thought I was sick. I thought I had something wrong with my sinuses. And since then, I've asked other people if this has ever happened, and I'll ask you guys if you've ever been like so sick and you feel like really, really high, like just completely out of it. I remember I was like completely like I can relate it to almost feeling like I was high on tranquilizers or something. And now, you know, I've kind of always asked myself, like, was I drugged or something? Because like
It sounds like it.
I just don't ever remember like getting sick and then like becoming, you know, just almost like passed out, you know. And that lasted for like 2 days. I was like, what is wrong with me? What is going
Did you
on?
have
And
a
I was like,
fever? Did they check to see if you had a fever?
Yeah, that's
they
what I was
checked
trying to say. The
if
only
I
thing
had
I
a
could think of
fever.
is
I
your
don't
fever just got so high.
No fever, but you
I
still.
don't
That had
maybe
to
it
be
was,
something.
it could have been a fever. Now that I'm thinking about it, it probably was a fever.
That for your fever to make you feel that way, you had to be extremely high.
Yeah, well, I didn't go
Which
to
would
the
have means they
hospital.
should have taken him to the hospital if it was that high.
Didn't go to the hospital, and I didn't even go to the hospital when I swallowed a full tube of toothpaste either. They sent me to the kitchen. They had me eat a piece of American cheese and drink a cup of milk.
Wow.
I don't
And I
think I've
think I
ever
heard
heard of that.
I think I heard something about that happening to another student on one of your shows, and the same
So I mean,
like
they didn't
this.
even give you like, what is the charcoal stuff they give them for poisoning or ingestion of stuff? I'm trying to remember what it's called. They just give you cheese and milk.
I know there's some kind of what is it? Epithet?
It starts with an E, but I can't.
Yeah, that I can't think of the name of it, but I know that it induces vomiting. And some stuff you're not supposed to try to.
So did now I'm curious. Did the toothpaste make you sick? Did it?
What's in toothpaste?
It made me a little. Gave me a little bit of a stomach ache.
That's creative, because I never would have thought to eat a whole thing of toothpaste. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I have a weird gag reflux, so
I do too.
I don't like the taste of. I'm throwing up. I can't even take Pepto-Bismol because it's coming back up before it gets to here.
And I guess you could say I was attention seeking, but it was because I wanted attention from outsiders to see, hey,
right.
like,
well, it's totally
there's something wrong here.
Yeah, totally understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, you were a kid. Kids want attention. That's the thing. They're like, well, it's attention seeking. It's a kid. They want attention. That's why they act out. They're needing attention. Just
subconsciously, I wanted people to freaking get me the hell out of there.
I don't blame you at all. Wow.
Yeah.
All righty, Kendall, can you think of anything else?
No, I so appreciate you coming on. It's very educational to hear a different kind of a different version of it, a different side of it.
Because he didn't have the physical. He wasn't having to do the rocks. He didn't have the burrito taco
Right.
treatment, whatever they're calling it. But he had the isolation
No.
and he had,
Well, just his mindset being different.
Yeah,
I'm not
his
going to break the
mindset
system. I'm
was-
going to go along with it.
Yeah.
And it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've talked to all these kids, are adults now, and it seems like your trauma is almost deeper. I mean, I don't want to say that. I don't want to diminish
yeah,
their
I mean-
trauma, but
Yeah, because they knew the whole time that it was corrupt and it was wrong, and I didn't know that until like,
mentally, it seems like it hurt you more,
yeah, well,
or maybe in a different way. I don't want to say less or more, but in a different way to where I don't know.
It's
I don't
like-
even know how to put it in words, but I see a difference.
I wish I could have trusted my gut more and like stood up for what I knew was wrong, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But instead, like, I guess I was in survival mode and was like, you
Yeah.
can't do that. You have to go along with the program. You have to follow
Mhm.
it. And
Like when we've talked to Em, she talks about getting out and missing those years of socializing and learning to become a young woman and all of that stuff. But I haven't heard any of the students talk about how brainwashed they were. And I don't know. I'm trying to be really careful because I'm not trying at all to diminish any of their trauma
You're good.
at all. But this is a
well,
different type
everybody's
of
trauma is
drama.
going to be different,
Or
and
trauma.
no trauma is greater than the other.
Right.
And but it's definitely different. It's
Yeah,
definitely
different's just a better word. It's just completely different.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's more the silent type, I guess. I don't know if it's like.
Well, but silent trauma is more dangerous, honestly.
Yeah.
Because we hold all that deep.
We always say you got to watch the silent ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's truth in that. Got to watch some silent ones.
I have to work on myself constantly in order to like feel somewhat okay, I guess. Like if I'm not moving forward, I'm gonna be like moving backwards so fast, I guess.
Right.
You're
right.
So I constantly have to distract myself because it just like doesn't feel comfortable being where I am most of the time.
So where is your life at now? What are you doing? Are you moving forward?
Yeah, so I work with my dad landscaping. I also I started my own business selling crystals. I have like a traveling store, going to music festivals. Yeah, I love music festivals because it's like
music
the opposite.
is very therapeutic.
And it's total freedom. Everyone's so free of living and caring or maybe not caring, just like people are, I don't know, it's so more laid back.
Non-judgmental.
Like non-judgment, no judgment. Like you can be whatever you want to be. You can pretend, I don't know. It's so.
That's why I like my Ren fairs. Everybody just takes everybody how they are, and we have a blast.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good time. So like finding that world and that scene has been very, very important for me and like my well-being, I guess.
Right.
Well, that's good. That's good. Keep at it. Make sure you keep
I
at
appreciate you coming on so much.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy that you guys are doing this, and
you're always welcome back. I mean,
always
this
welcome
is
back. We're
Brandy's
definitely gonna
channel.
get with you.
To me.
We're gonna definitely. Well, you my co-host. It's all good. We're definitely gonna get with you about the wilderness program because we're gonna do that one too.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
We want to look into that one, and we're trying to keep the different ones categorized because they're all so different.
Yeah, sorry to like start off on the wilderness.
No, you're fine because you started there and went straight to this one.
No, it's your story. It doesn't. You got both. It's your story. That's you're good.
And what's funny is Alex has both. Alex was at the wilderness and at a different one. I'm trying to remember what he said it was. I don't remember. Alex did a few too. So it's interesting to see that y'all, several of y'all have done multiple, not just this one. So it's
Mhm.
overlapping trauma that you have to kind of categorize and unpack differently. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
shame on these adults for doing this to children. Shame on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I wonder if they knew what they were doing, like, if,
I
like,
think some of them
I
did, and I
think
think some of them enjoyed it. Some of them literally got off on doing it.
I think there were a select few that were worried about their job and just needing a paycheck
Yeah.
and just crying. And then I think some just turned a blind eye, and then I think some just were sadistic and just got off on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could really see it, and it was almost like, like, you could see who really didn't like kids and really, like, was just there to be a bully towards children, and they were the ugliest people too, and they were just you could tell it was like it almost seemed like they were jealous that they're old and we're young. I don't know. Like, that's what it seemed like or something.
Sad. It's sad. All right. Well, I guess we will call it a night, and we will definitely have you back and do some more talking.
Thanks for
I don't know who I have next. I have a few that have said they want to talk, but I haven't finalized anything.
if
Huh?
I may have, some friends that
Okay.
might want to do the podcast.
Absolutely. And if they're not comfortable with live, we'll record it. That's fine too.
Yeah. Then if anything gets said that they wish they didn't say, we can
I
always
can take out. Just like with Alex, there were his kids were in some of it, and I didn't want people seeing the baby. I just was protecting the baby, so I edited that out.
Cool.
And it's just out of protection. And I know too many of these idiots on YouTube, and I was just don't take any chances.
Right.
Social media is dangerous all in of itself. But
Yeah.
next Thursday we have a case for y'all. Y'all are going to be surprised with that one because I'm giving the reins to Kendall. She gets to.
Yay.
She's this is a case that's her baby, and
Brandy gets to be my co-host.
I get to be the co-host. We'll see how well I do at that. My control freak self.
You do very good.
But all right, guys,
You handle me very well.
We do well together.
One last
But
question.
huh?
I have one more question.
What's that?
Sure.
What's that?
When will I be able to rewatch this?
Yes, it'll be here. It'll be on YouTube. Yep, it'll stay right here. I very seldom ever remove one video from here. I take it back too, because
most of our views are on replay. So
yeah, I get
Well,
most of
replay clip.
people who watch this more on replay than they do in the evenings. I'm going to change my time frame. I don't like this time. It's kind of late for a lot of people. That's why Em didn't get to say it was just too late for her.
well, Em is in bed every night by 8:00.
Yeah, she goes to bed early. I mean, I thought I went to bed early. She beats me.
No, Margaret's in bed. If she's up at 9, she's dozing.
Yeah, she beat me. She beats me.
Yeah. She tries. She tries, but she just don't last long.
But yeah, it will be here. And then and I look forward to seeing if there's anybody else that that wants to come on. And then I did have somebody comment on Alex's that says they want to share their story, and so I'm hoping they get back with me so they can come share. Child of God was saying a while ago they're actually a counselor or a teacher. I'm trying to remember in one of these kind of programs.
Oh, that's interesting. I would love to have one of the good ones up here.
Yes, and so I asked them to email me because I want to talk to them because they're actually trained to do this the right way.
I would love.
So I want to hear from them, and because I think my focus is change. Change needs to happen.
And I am so in the belief that something is needed for some of these kids. Some of these kids really, parents have lost control. But what's the answer? And this isn't the answer.
This is not the
way
answer.
this is set up. This isn't the answer.
Yeah. No, this is not the answer.
No.
So, but all righty.
Kids need to have more fun.
They need some fun. They need
structure. They need
structure. They need proper counseling. Some of these kids are having their medications just removed from them. That's not okay.
They learn to still need to, they still need to be able to develop naturally, and their social skills and the opposite sex skills, and they
because you're taking
still
these
need to do that.
15, 16-year-old kids, and you can't look at the opposite sex. Well, that's the first thing they're wanting to do, because they're hormones.
The hormones are pumping.
That was the hardest thing for me. And I remember on my home visits, I always tried to like hang out with a girl, or like try to, do something.
What young men do.
Well, it's just a normal instinct in human nature, and to just rip that away and make it to where you can't even do it. Like, put some guidelines in there,
Yeah.
Somehow, something. Just don't.
How do we do this and do it right?
Right. Right.
Where they don't come out worse than they went in. There's got to be an answer, but it's got to start with some regulation, because it's already proven that when there's no regulation and there's no overseeing, the evil gets in, and then we got the next generations that are messed up.
Yep.
Dude, I appreciate it so much. I'm gonna leave and let Brandy close us out, but I appreciate it. Anything else you want to say in the future, just let Brandy know, and she'll get you up there.
Thanks, Kendall. It was great to meet you.
You too.
Well, thank you, Silas, for coming on and sharing your story. And if you ever think of anything else, just let me know. Let me know.
Absolutely, I will. Thank you so much again.
All righty. Have a good night.
You too. Goodbye.